All right, the Colorado Avalanche getting ready for game number 2 in Winnipeg. They call up a goalie, but it might just be Alexandar Georgiev in net again. We'll explain why and what to expect from this game number 2. All that and more. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live. Make sure you're subscribed to Subtext as well. A link to that is in the show notes below. And when you do, chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, get your opinion on everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. Before we get to anything else today, sir, if you're watching over on YouTube, you're in a fine getup of old school Denver Broncos gear. It is a big two thumbs down for me for these new uniforms that they unveiled yesterday. You are on the other side of this.
I am. It could have been a lot worse. And honestly, when you look at it, it's not terrible. It
burns my eyes when I look at it. I don't like them at all. First of all, I liked the current uniform. What you're wearing is like classic Broncos.
Oh yeah.
And I wish they went back to it. I guess they did come out with like a fourth jersey, that they might wear a couple times, which is that, or it's even like from 77 or something. Like awesome. Those two thumbs up. But what they're going with as their regular uniforms, it's just so basic, man. Like there is nothing to it. But that's the style these days in sports, is just kind of minimalism.
Yeah.
And I like the loud stuff. I really liked their jerseys that they just moved on from. I didn't feel like you need to do too much. Tweak them a little bit maybe, but they just went to a basic, just plain Jane look. And I hate it. I don't like it at all.
Like concept drawings and everything, that's wonderful, but let me see it on the field.
That is true. I do want to see how it looks collective. I do like the helmets. I like that matte finish look that they went to instead of the high. That is okay. Everything else, not a fan. All right. But if you want some more Broncos talk, head on over to Lock On Broncos. Sayer and Cody will probably break down everything about the new uniform and if they like it or not. One thing that we didn't like, of course, was game number 1 between the Avalanche and the Jets. How will game 2 go? We'll get into that. Where we're going to start is in goal again. And Ivan Prosvetov has been called up. In all likelihood, because Justus Annunen, and they did say he's still sick. So they must be anticipating that he's still going to be sick even on game day on Tuesday for game number 2. And he can't even be the backup, would be my guess. I mean, anything is possible right now. I mean, they just brought him up to see how it goes for tomorrow. But this has to make you feel like they're bringing him up to be the backup, the starting goal. To me, I think, I'm not going to throw him in there game 2. So you're probably going back to Georgiev. This is what we said yesterday, that in my opinion, really the only way that Georgiev gets another start is if this exact scenario happened, where Annunen has not recovered from whatever sickness he has. And it seems like that's going to be the case.
Instead of calling up Prosvetov, I would have called up the best doctors in the world. I would have called up every bowl of chicken noodle soup I possibly could.
Yeah.
And I would have made sure Justus gets 100%. But on the flippity flip, yeah, this looks like everything's pointing to another Georgiev start, which is not incredibly terrible news. I know we just had a huge letdown, and just there's been some time since game 1, and we're about to roll into game 2. But in that locker room, if you watch Bednar's press conference, Bednar has he doesn't even look phased. and he's talking about everything kind of ethereal. And you got to understand, this is a 7-game series. The series aren't won or lost in one game. And honestly, if I'm Nathan McKinnon in that locker room, you turn to Georgiev, you turn to the rest of the team, and you say never again. You've hit the bottom. This is a rallying point. This is, hey, this was, look at everything we did. We talked about it in yesterday's episode. Look at everything we did. Look at that performance. Defense could have been better. Goalie could have been better. Help me help you.
Absolutely.
And let's step it up just a little bit. This is the playoffs. Let's kick it into another gear. And then the team holds each other accountable. You would expect that's where this team is about to go.
Well, I don't think, I don't want to use the term they hit the bottom. I mean, they haven't. You played a good game.
Yeah.
You played a good game. And the reason why we're down 1-0 is just what happened in goal. But you're right about Jared Bednar in that, nothing phases this guy. And he is playing for this series to go a while.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if he was thinking like, if we don't make a change now, or this series is over, I think his hands are tied at least right now for game 2. But if the way that he spoke, if Annunen was ready, I'm not sold that he would have put him in. I still would have, but I'm not sold that he was going to do that. And even at the press conference after the game, he didn't commit to it. Somebody at the very last question was, what's your plan for this? And he said, I'm not going to commit to anything right now. And you wouldn't expect him to do that. You have a day off, you're going to go back and kind of like assess things. So I wasn't expecting him to give an answer to that, but he is very, very much playing for this series to go the duration. And if that's his plan, maybe he would have given Georgiev another game no matter what. And then if it doesn't go well again, 2 games on the road, then do you turn to Annunen when he's home, a little bit more comfortable? He's got the home crowd behind him because he's still a young dude, and you want to put him in the best situation possible. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but however Jared Bednar is thinking, he is not in a panic, and none of those players seem like they were in a panic. You saw interviews by a lot of guys. Cale Makar, Cogliano was one of them. They all felt good about how they played. And it was one of those things where it's like you get all the usual answers from hockey players and just sports players and athletes in general. We just do a couple things right. We don't have some, lapses or breakdowns, and this is a different game. They're right. So is it, we're sitting here and you listen to the episode we did yesterday and it's like, oh, we're quick hooks. We're, get them out now. It's not working. And they're thinking, well, no, this is a game of chess. And they made the first move, and now we have to respond to it. And you give them that opportunity to do it.
Yeah, yesterday's episode, there's been some time, and you know what? I've put some salve. I've stretched out my knee from that knee jerk reaction of that game 1 I was thinking about this all day today. This is almost like the scenario of St. Louis when Nas took out Bennington, and it was, we could do so much if it wasn't for.
Right.
And when you hear the team talk and you hear Bednar, he's planning on it going long haul. The team's proud of how they played. The goalie situation, it is what it is, but that's hockey, baby. That's the playoffs. Right. Weird things happen. You have guys rise to the top, and you have expected guys completely ghost and disappear. That's just the nature of the beast. And you got to ride with it. And this team, they don't look shaken. Bednar has been vocal before when it needs to be. That locker room has been vocal before when they need to be. Is this a situation? It's just one game.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to be that vocal? Yes, it was a bad performance, but like when you hear Bednar talking about the goals that were given up, he points out like the defensive lapses. Like we should have done this on this play. Yes, he should have had this one, but we also should have done this on this play. Take a step back. Maybe it's not 100% Georgiev's fault. Granted, the numbers are terrible. And when you look at Hellebuck and Georgiev, like the numbers are relatively similar except for the save percentage. So,
well, it's never 100% one guy's fault.
Exactly.
There's different slices of the pie. I think Georgiev's slice of the pie was a lot larger than everybody else's, but there are other people at fault, clearly. But Jared Bednar is not the type of guy who's going to give you sound bites. You know, I mean, he is not the John Tortorella. He's the complete opposite of that. And I appreciate that more, because the John Tortorella style, I just feel like that wears thin after a while, and guys start to tune that out. But when Bednar does it, he's very calculated when he does that. He did it early in the year, if you remember, when he was not, I can't remember who the opponent was. He was not happy with how they played, thought they phoned it in, and he let the press know at that press conference. He doesn't do that. So when it happens, it's like, oh boy, the principal's mad. We better really turn this around. So for him to not do it after that game, there's a difference, though. There's a difference between what he says to the press, and he's getting on these guys in practice. You know what I mean? But he's not going to play it out in the media. He's just not built that way, where he's going to call out his guys. He'll do it so minute, you know, and somebody asked him about how Georgiev played, and he just, the way his response is just, well, yeah, I mean, he needs to play better. Like, as if, duh, it's no secret. But he's not going to go out and throw around, you know, things that we were saying yesterday, or even worse, what you're seeing on like social media. Like, that stuff just gets out of hand, people. Like, come on. Like, it's right to critique him and criticize his play, but tone the rhetoric down a little bit. Jesus, man, like, the guy's human, for crying out loud. But you can criticize his play because he hasn't been playing well. But how you do it is just use your words carefully, people. Come on.
And just a further step to already throw in everything, say, see you guys next year. I'm already done with this team. I can't believe it's one game. Look at the Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes right now. Did you expect that kind of finale and that kind of battle? Like, this is the playoffs. You have a series to figure things out. And what does Bednar do in that situation? What do you say? Like, any kind of correction? Do you not want your offense and defense to play like they did in game one? Yeah. Honestly, if you had a little bit better goalie play, that's a winning formula. So you don't want to tweak too much. You don't want to critique too much. You say, yeah, we should have had a couple more saves, which is correct. But other than that, it was a relatively good game plan. Just good. Defense needs to be cleaned up. That's about it.
And he said something about the system, which I want to bring up as well. So let's get our first break in here. We come back more on this game. Who needs to stand? I don't want to say who, like, he needs to rise up. Because I thought, like we said, the Avs played well, but at the end of game two, who are we going to look back on and be like, that guy rose up to game two and rose to the occasion? Who's kind of a standout player that we're kind of expecting from this game? A lot more to get to on this episode, so stay tuned. We'll be back right after this. All right, let's hear from Game Time. Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Kyle and I talk often when we're talking about Game Time about the zone deals that they have. Beautiful thing that they have over there. It's like a flash deal for a specific zone, and tickets in that area go on sale. Crazy prices that they put out there, and when you can jump on those at the right time, you're going to be going to your favorite event at a pretty sweet price. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. So create an account, redeem the code Locked On NHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. So another thing Jared Bednar was talking about was the system that the Avalanche play in, and how, you know, they looked for the duration of that game, mainly in the beginning of that game. And he said something that, you know, we make adjustments that we see, but for the most part, we're going to play our style because we're confident in our style. We feel like if we just keep battling that, the play and our style of game, will eventually win out. Does that happen all the time? No, because if it did, you'd be an undefeated team. No one could beat you. It doesn't work every time. but they're confident in that it will win out more often than not. And it has to, it needs to. And I feel like the way that they played in the first game, they're feeling like we do that again and get just a couple more saves out of our goalie and we will be just fine. So this goes back to what we were saying in the first segment about how, he's playing for the duration of this and he's not making those knee-jerk reactions of, all right, now we need to blow everything. You don't need to do that. There's no need to do that. You just need a couple more saves from your goalie, continue to do what you did offensively, tighten things up defensively, don't have those breakdowns, fine. And you feel good about where this game will go for game 2. Now, easier said than done because you have Winnipeg on the other end who's not happy with how they played defensively. So they're going to make adjustments. And this is what I just love about playoff hockey is the back and forth. One team will sit there and be like, hey, let's do that again. And the other team will be like, well, we can't have them do that again. So we need to make the adjustments. And then it's adjustments on top of adjustments on top of adjustments while playing your style of game. And who wins out? That's the beauty of it.
And we were talking about that game 1 performance. You don't lose a series and you also don't win a series in one game. And honestly, let's change the colors of our uniforms right now. Like the Winnipeg fans, hey, I see you in the comments. I know it's fun. You beat the Avalanche game 1, but now you got to do it in game 2. You hear Bednar's comments. We're just looking at how we play in the next game, how you respond, how you're looking forward. I'm seeing all the Jets fans like having their parades, their party. Oh, we did this, we did this. This is overconfidence. The Avalanche, I mean, yes, we talk about not comparing to 22, but they've been there. They've advanced in the playoffs. They got past the first round. They've been there. The Jets, you don't want to get too overconfident. You're not going to get Georgiev performances like this every night. You're not going to get Hellebuck performances like this every night. You're not going to get game 1 is not going to repeat itself for 4 more games.
Right.
3 more games.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be overconfident in how you're playing because Winnipeg did not play a flawless game either. And you can't commit to this is the winning formula. This is how you beat the Avalanche. No, because the Avalanche are also correcting. You heard Bednar's comments. They're also tweaking and working, but they have a system. And I know the regular season results, but this is the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and tonight you'll see the adjustments take place. But you also have to remember you don't want to overexert yourself in round 1. You don't want to overdo. No. I
mean, I think you know where you're going with that, but you don't want to lapse either.
Yeah, no, you don't want.
You're going home.
You don't want to lapse. You don't want to overcorrect. But that's the thing. The Avalanche, they're not overcorrecting. They're not. This is terrible. We expect more. You don't hear those blurbs like they're not throwing up everything, and you kind of want to play it. This is a boxing match. You want to go all 10 rounds. You don't deliver that first knockout punch because you got to respond in game 2 and 3 and 4. Yeah. The Avalanche they know what they're doing. Trust the process and just hold on because I really hearing Bednar's comments the day after really just kind of calmed things down a little bit.
He's good at that.
Yeah, he's got that fatherly role like you were talking like he never gives those Tortorella comments. It's always like if he made a couple more saves, that really stings. Like, like he complimented the forecheck, the defense. If I could just made a couple more saves, that matters. So I'm looking forward to game 2 because I feel like they're really putting something together. Even though some things aren't great, they will be.
So who needs to kind of be that guy in game 2 outside of the usual suspects, outside of the Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, and Cale Makar? And even outside of the goal, because we know that goes without saying that, he needs to step it up. I'll go over to subtext before I get your answer to this. This is from Vargar, says the bottom 4 defensemen. So he's giving me a collection of guys need to be better in their own end. Forwards need to keep getting to Hellebuck's crease. I'm sure the Jets will be playing a sounder game defensively. Is it sounder or more sound? Is it sounder?
Soundest.
Sound. I don't know which one it is either. They don't want to run and gun series, even though they have the superior goaltending. He's right about that. The Avs, obviously speed is a strength of theirs, and they used it. They used it to perfection in game 1. But he thinks the bottom 4 needs to step it up. Zach says he threw out Mikko Rantanen. Big night from Moose would be great. Nothing different. They only allowed 23 shots on goal. They scored 6 on Connor. Keep up the back check. Probably the best back check I've seen all year. I think Mikko played an okay game, but I think in the playoffs, you need Mikko to play a great game over and over again. Like he's one of your studs. So you're expecting him to do that over and over. I don't think he played bad. But did he play great? No, no. Okay. He played a good game, but like I said, it's playoffs. You need him to step it up. And I'll go Kyle Steele, Parise. He says Zach Parise. He says, especially if he stays on the top line, it needs to be him. He wasn't the facilitator that is required when line mates with the big dogs. If Parise gets shifted, then it needs to be Middlestat. But what else is new with asking more from the 2C since Kadri left? It was interesting how Parise was in the top line, and I wondered if that was just more experience than anything else, because like he can't hang with McKinnon and Mikko. So I was surprised he was there all game long. I thought he was going to be there, maybe for the first period or so, and then things would change. But he was up there for most of the game, and I don't really think like it's tough for him to kind of facilitate like he used to.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Who's kind of a guy, like you said, at the end of this game, if the Avs play well, when we record about this game, we're sitting here saying, yo, that guy played excellent. Who's that guy?
No, I need a little bit more out of Taser. I need a second push, and I don't want to talk about Manson. I'd like a game where I don't have to bring him up at all. Like,
people are harping on him for that turnover, rightfully so. But he had a fantastic start to this game.
So did Nichushkin.
Fantastic.
Nichushkin had a fantastic start to the game.
And two of them connected on that one play. So, yeah.
And I just want a little bit cleaner game, because if you play a cleaner game, Manson, you automatically stand out. And Taze, I want a little bit more. I would love Sam Girard to come back anytime. That would be a big improvement for the defense.
Which is a possibility, I guess.
Yes.
They said like he's trending in that direction. So if he doesn't play in game 2, I think you have an extra day off. It's not every other day between game 2 and game 3. So if he doesn't play game 2, I think you would almost 100% have to expect him for game 3. We'll see.
Yeah, because I liked even line 4 for the forwards. I liked how the forwards looked. Like even Middlestat kind of appeared and then disappeared, but he was there. You saw him for a minute. So I liked how things were working there. I just want to see a little bit, because Winnipeg is going to continue to push in game 2. I want to see a Kale line and then Taser come in either behind. I want a constant defensive pressure throughout this game and pressuring shots to the outside. I feel like that could really help just the entire team stand out if it's more of a concentrated defensive pressure and not so just run and gun, because I feel like Winnipeg's about to slow down now that they have one game in the book.
Yeah, they don't want to get into a track meet. Yeah. They don't want that. And they're very good at not letting that happen. It's very difficult for the Avalanche to kind of get that go. But when they do, and they get Winnipeg on their heels, and we saw them do it, you can see how the game shifts. So that's going to be the push and pull in this game, is can the Avalanche use their speed to their advantage, and can Winnipeg shut that down? And whoever wins that matchup, there's a pretty good chance at, taking game 2. I'm with Kyle, though. I think Casey Middlestat's got to stand out in this game. I thought he had a good game again. He did get a goal towards the end there. Kind of like a odd, semi-fluky goal, but hey, it's a goal. But I thought he played a good game. I think he got his feet wet with playoff hockey. And now I think you'll see I hope so, that you'll see a better game out of him. So we'll see how that goes. As far as predictions go, what do we think on this game and the outcome of what game 2 will be? Let's cover that after we take our final break. All right, let's hear from FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and, of course, the NHL, and baseball is in full swing. And FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe and secure and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, of course, is America's #1 sports book. Also brought to you by Policy Genius. It's the country's leading online insurance marketplace, and it saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. And with Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for a $1 million coverage plan. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help talk you through it, because your life insurance policy may not offer enough protection for your family's needs. And even worse, it may not come with you if you leave your current job. So check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonnhl or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quote and see how much you could save. That is policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. We don't do predictions during the course of the regular season. That just gets a little bit kind of boring when you're doing it over the course of 82 games. But playoffs are obviously different. So why not? Let's throw out kind of predictions, how we think this game is going to go. I like what you said a little bit earlier about what you got in game one is not what you're going to get in game two. Not where and what you get in game two is not what you're going to get in game three, and on and on and on for as long as this series goes. Because that's playoff hockey. So I think a lot of people are going to be tuning into this game expecting another 7-6 kind of like shootout. And it's weird because sure, that could happen. But you know, sometimes, a lot of times things just kind of level back out and you get that 4-3 game or 3-2 game. What are you thinking for this one, sir? How do you think this one is going to go? And if you want to throw out a score, please feel free to do so.
That's what I'll lead with. I'll lead with the score. I feel like this is going to be an Avalanche 3-2 win. And honestly, game one, go down that roster. That's a lot of big names in their first playoff appearance. Like in that environment, a hostile environment, it's a lot to take in. And that's Zach Parise back in the playoffs. Like, it's a lot of acclimating. You heard Bednar talking about that playoff environment and hearkening back to, it just feels like yesterday we were back in that bubble with no fans, and now you're in Winnipeg, and even on the bench you're getting goosebumps because of how ruckus that environment is. So yeah. I anticipate everybody to level out just a little bit, just kind of take a breath. We know what this is. The series isn't won or lost tonight either. Let's just get back to business. I feel like it's a lot slower game, a lot more of that forecheck that we saw early in periods 1 and 2 of game one. And I feel like that's the tone throughout the game for 60 minutes. And the Avs 3-2, Nathan McKinnon with 2.
I loved the one thing that I loved, but two things I loved in game one were the number of hits the Avalanche had. Was it 55 hits? I love that aspect. And their play against the boards was just light years above where they played Winnipeg when they lost 7-0 at home. And those battles up against the boards, they were winning a lot of those where they struggled to do that against Winnipeg at home in the 7-0 game. So those two things, like everything else, keep your pressure on as much as you can. That's your game. Use your speed as much as you can because that's your game. But they were peppering Hellebuck with shots. That's what you have to do against an all-world elite goalie. Sometimes you want to get too cute and pick the right spot because you just feel like if I just throw this on net, he's going to save it. Sure, he might, but hockey's a fluky game. You can get a bizarre rebound, a fluke, or he doesn't see it. It gets tipped on the way there. And you saw the Avalanche doing that. You saw them. If they had any time and space, they were just firing the puck on net and not caring who was there in front of the net. If there's too much traffic in front, that's what you want. So do those things, continue to do those things. If you do it, you got a good shot to win this game. You clearly need improvement from Alexandar Georgiev in net. So, if you can get, it's a big if, but if you can get that, sure, you can. I have confidence that the Avs can put 4 in the net on Hellebuck. I feel like they can do that. Can Georgiev hold them to under that? He can. He can do it. I know a lot of people are thinking like, oh man, I don't have a lot of confidence in him, and I get that. But the Jets have good scores.
Mm-hmm.
They're a well-balanced team. They don't have that, maybe Kyle Connor, but and Scheifele or maybe like their best scorers. But I think let's give him a shot. Like rally around him. If he's your guy, rally around him. Play solid defense in front of him, and maybe you can get that 4-3 win.
Maybe. Yeah, the Avs need to get back to putting bodies on bodies. They need to quit chasing pucks. Just keep it slow. Don't just anticipate.
Well, you don't want to go too slow.
No,
because their game is built on speed.
If when you touch that puck, you don't need to throw it out thinking you know where they are. Get eyes on where this pass is going. Don't just assume. Don't do your Globetrotter type passing and turn it over. Like you've got to just go back to the fundamentals. Like this is a good team, top to bottom. You know what you're doing. We're not asking a lot. Just go back to the basics. And if you're limiting shots of like 20 to 25 on Georgiev, you're going to be okay. That's you're doing everything you're supposed to do, and then you're just asking Georgiev just do what you need to do. Take the pressure off everybody else. Just keep it simple. That's all you need.
Save pucks, man. Avs fan forever says 5-3 Jets if number 40 is in net, 4-2 Avs if Annunen is in net. Well, what if neither of those guys are in net? What if it's Prosvetov who's starting? What is the score there? 3-3 in never-ending overtimes, or
6-6? Then we're going to be talking about this game in tomorrow's episode.
Yeah. Vargar says Nichushkin gets 2. Makar gets a goal with 2 assists. Lehkonen scores. Winnipeg wins 5-4, taking a 2-0 series lead back to Denver. Then you hope Justus can play and get a win in game 3. Could happen. I mean, and I know if Winnipeg goes up 2-0, it's going to even be more doom and gloom. But it's like, hey, they took care of their home ice. You go take care of your home ice, and you get this thing to. Maybe you got to push it. If everybody just holds ice, then you get to a game 7, and then all bets are off. Maybe that's how you have to play this series. Who knows?
Yeah, especially if they're adopting that slow it down style, and you do drop game 2. You did an incredible forecheck game 1, and you had the pressure for the first, 10 minutes of that first period in game 1, and you slow it down in game 2, and that's still losing effort. Find a mix of the two. You got to change it up going back home. It's easier to play around at home. You've got to try it. You can't keep doing the same thing every single night, because then you will be walking home.
I know what you're saying, but again, like you go back to they played a good game, so you don't want to change too much. And Jared Bender even said it, like, no, this is our style. Like we can't just collectively just change everything at this stage of the season. We play our style, and you tweak things along the way. If we can get some things go our way, we feel good about winning it. So. Kyle Steele says, hopefully Georgie can get his mind right and lock things down. If not, he better be paying fair ticket price to be standing there and watching the game like the rest of us. But he says 5-4 Avalanche. Yeah. All right. It's a lot of confidence here. I mean, I'm with you, people. It's not over yet. Just one game.
Yeah, and like even mentioning like slow it down style, it's just for the sole purpose of eliminating turnovers, because the story of the season so far, playoffs and regular season, every turnover cost you. If you eliminate that, you're going to be doing all right.
Easton, he's another one who's given us 2 scores here. Annunen in net, Avs win 4-3. Georgie in net, they lose 5-2. Oh, and Easton is he's giving us updates as we're recording this right now too. Mark Stone opened up the series with the power play goal. Easton, why do you want me to end this episode on a bad note? Like, why are you going to put me in a bad mood to finish off this episode, Easton?
I see what Easton's doing. We need to send Justus to Vegas doctors to get him ready for the playoffs. That's what they do.
But actually, now I'm looking up the score. Vegas is now up 2-0. So, God, we're ending this show right now. I'm going to go put my head through a wall. All right, everyone. That's going to wrap it up on today's episode of Locked On Avalanche. Thank you so much for tuning in and making this your first listen of the day. We will be back tomorrow after this game. Game 2 is complete. Break it all down. Hopefully, the Avs can pull even with this series. Until then, he is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.